Hey, welcome everyone. It is Monday, November 7th. We're here to talk about the Healy microcurrent frequency device. Looks like this device right here. And we're going to, in the next 45 minutes or so, give you a good overview. I'm joined by Ray Jatan and Kathy Webster, and we're going to share lots of great information for you and make sure you get up to date on everything that's going on with this amazing little frequency device. So let me just tell you a little bit of background. What is frequencies? Because some of you may be coming here and you just heard, well, there's this cool thing and it's kind of alternative health or something, but you don't know what frequencies are, because that's where I was. When I first learned about this in May of 2020, I learned from a doctor, like a holistic type of a doctor named Dr. Corrine Allen, and she called me up, and she's someone that our family just really trusts her, and we love her and know that, you know, whenever she recommends something health-wise to us, we've really had great results. So she was just raving and raving about this. Now, I had heard of a Rife machine from way back in the 1930s, but I had never seen one or used one or done anything with frequencies or energy medicine. So if you're like me, you know, I was pretty green at it, and she just kind of explained what I'll explain to you right now. And I bought one just based because we trusted her so much. So, but what I learned basically about frequency is this: every cell in our body is a little electrical power plant. Okay, we're energy and we're frequency, and each cell has a cellular voltage on the cell wall, and each different types of cell have an ideal frequency. So a liver cell and a hair cell and a brain cell and a skin cell, they're all different, and they vibrate at a different frequency, an ideal frequency. And if you can add energy at that specific frequency, you actually will see physical results, such as protein synthesis is improved, and the ATP production, which is the energy of the cell, that is improved, and amino acid transport is improved. So there's actual proven physical things that happen when you add frequency. There are even videos out there, if you look on YouTube and look up like frequencies and stuff, where they show shattering cancer cells and stuff. Now, we have to be a little careful, obviously, using words like cancer, because the FDA would hate for us to claim that this cures or heals or mitigates any disease. What we have found that it adds the energy to the body at very specific frequencies to get specific responses that allows your body to heal itself, just like it's designed to do. I believe God has made our bodies to be able to heal themselves, but we got to put the right stuff in there. And with all the external influences that we have now that are negative, putting a lot of positive energy in at the right frequencies is going to make a difference. So two quotes that I like to share about this that really struck me hard when I heard about this was Nikola Tesla. These are both from people from like 100 years ago. So, you know, it's amazing to me that they already knew what we're really starting to promote or expound upon scientifically now in quantum physics. So Nikola Tesla, who's famous for all sorts of stuff, they named the car after him, of course, but you know, he doesn't own the car company. He's just a quantum physicist. And he had said that if you want to know the secrets to the universe, think in terms of frequency, energy, and vibration. And then another cool one is Albert Einstein. He said, the future of medicine will be the medicine of frequencies. So that's what this is. And this may end up sounding a little like Star Trek: The Next Generation to you, where you're scanning your field and you're doing this energy type work to cause a response in the body. And we've learned that everything is frequency and energy, even our brain waves and our thoughts and our emotions, and you can influence that. And if you are into holistic health, you probably already understand that physical ailments many times have an emotional reason behind that, and vice versa. The physical and the emotional is all related. So that's the basics of what we're doing. We're going to get into, I'm going to have both Ray and Kathy share a little bit about their story with this and just learn more about the history of Healy and its parent company called Time Waver. And then we'll actually do a demonstration where I'll show you how you scan your field, you select programs, you can run a program. You get to see all that here in just a second. So Ray, why don't you introduce yourself and share your story, and especially, you know, a little bit about Healy as a company and where they started and have come to now.
Absolutely. My name is Ray Jatan, and I live in the Columbia, Missouri area, so central Missouri. And I like to visit with people in person with the Healy. Now, in the beginning, when I got started, we I've always considered myself a heating and air conditioning contractor. Now I consider myself a recovering heating and air conditioning contractor because this Healy business has allowed me to retire from that industry of 37 years. So that's been a real blessing for us. But in the beginning, that wasn't our goal. Our goal was to get help for our son. And my son Titus is a senior now, so he's 17. And 2 years ago, when he was 15, he had a really major growth spurt. He grew like 6 inches in 8 months. And we tried a number of different things to help him. He was having a hard time walking, let alone running, and he was trying to play soccer for his high school. So we headed out for vacation and picked up some of my best friends. And when they saw him, they said, "Hey, we just bought this cool little device that's from Germany and it's cleared by the FDA here in the US for chronic and acute pain, arthritis, muscle soreness. And it has hundreds of other, quote, non-medical applications that you can use for uh, like stress and sleeping and mental balance and digestion and hormones and allergies, you name it, it's in there." And the other countries outside the US market, they're also allowed to say that it's cleared for fibromyalgia, depression, anxiety. We just can't tell you that here in the US market. Um, but what I found was uh, after he got out of the truck and they saw him, they said, "Let's hook him up and see what this thing can do," because they'd only had this device for about a week and it only been in the US market for about 3 months at that point. And I said, "Sure, let's do it." We tried everything on him and they scanned him in the pain categories. And yes, it's a scanner too. They scanned him for the pain categories and then they vibrated resonance frequencies or radionics type frequencies to him for 20 minutes. And then 2 hours later, the kid's walking normal. And my wife saw that and she said, "Oh my gosh, I got to have one of those." So we had one ordered before we ever got back to Missouri. And now, me, myself, I've got some issues that I've had for years and years. 37 years, I've had a chronic disease called diabetes, and not something that I would wish on any of my enemies. So that if I had enemies, but it's something that's been in control of my life more than half of my life. And I've always been looking for something to help with the issues that diabetes causes. And so when we got this device in hand, I was fiddling with it all the time, trying to figure out what else can this thing do. And so I was researching it, doing scans. This is the single biggest thing that I've done in 37, almost 38 years. Yeah, it's 38 years this month, actually, that I've had diabetes. And single biggest thing that I've done to reduce the amount of insulin that I take because of some of the programs that have helped me. Now, in the process of trying to figure this thing out, I also did some research on some background of this company. Excuse me. And found out that Time Waver is the parent company. Now, Time Waver makes the larger 20 to $40,000 devices that you set in the chair of the practitioner, and it's connected to their computer, and you hold onto these brass rods, and they can send frequency into your body, and it pings your cells and your organs and your thoughts. And because every cell, every organ, every thought has a frequency to it, and it could read that and tell me specifically what was going on in my body. Now, this was about 6 years ago that I experienced this, and she could see without me telling her that I was type 1 diabetic, that I had a low thyroid, that I had E. coli and bacteria in my system, which is how I ended up getting type 1 diabetes. and that I also dealt with depression and anxiety, probably like a lot of business owners, actually. But um, I was intrigued back then, and I looked in to see how much it would cost. And there was just no way that I could afford $40,000 and a trip to Germany to learn how to use the thing. And so then fast forward, that's when we find out about this cool little Healy. So, in understanding a little bit more about Time Waiver as the parent company, Time Waiver's been in operation since 2007. It's owned by a company, or it's owned by a guy named Marcus Schmieke, who's a quantum physicist, and he'd also spent about 10 to 12 years as a monk. And some people might think that's a little odd, but his objective was to try to tie spirituality and science together, and he's really done a great job with this thing. So, in thinking about the process of Time Waiver and the practitioner using that larger device, it was very costly to get one of those devices. It was also costly to train an individual to use those. And we all know what the workforce is like. It's hard to retain people. Um, so these practitioners went to Marcus Schmieke, the owner of Time Waiver, and said, we really need something that we can use as an extension to our care, something we could get into the hands of our clients where they can borrow the device or buy the device and take it home and use it on a daily basis. Otherwise, some of the therapy some of these folks needed to be done every day, and there was just no way for them to come in and do that. It was too costly for the individual. So in 2017, if we're looking at a timeline, 2017, they launched this device to the practitioners. And after $100 million worth of research and development for this, by 2019, they realized that the practitioners weren't great at selling. They're good at servicing and helping people. So um, in 2019, they decided to look at a different way to go to market, and they decided social selling would be the way that they would approach that, because in that kind of platform, things can go viral very quickly. So in 2019, they took this to the world markets, and they made, or they sold $7 million worth of devices just in the other countries. By 2020, they came into the US market, but it wasn't a full year. It was May of 2020, so halfway through the year. And by the end of the year, they had hit $100 million. Can you believe that? 7 million in 2019 to 100 million in 2020, right in the middle of a pandemic. Now, I'm an entrepreneur and a businessman, and when I heard that, I tilted my head just like I did just now, and thinking, wow, what a potential opportunity if this thing really works. And that's a big question. A lot of you folks are on this call right now wondering, does this thing really work? Will it work for me? And is this something that I could share with others? And the answer to all three questions is yes, yes, and yes. So we got this device. We started seeing some amazing things happen within our own family. We started sharing it with a few other people. My wife came home from work one day and she was complaining about something. And I said, well, why don't you run a scan and do a program? Well, she puts her hand on her hip and the finger in my face and says, how do you expect me to do that? You're the darn Healy hog. So I said, okay, I get it. I think we're going to be buying another device. And when I reached out to somebody that knew how to do that, they said, Ray, if you're going to buy a device for your wife, in addition to the one that you already have, you need to go ahead and set her up as a member. That way she could take advantage of the fast start promotions that were happening. And he said, if you sell 3 of them or share 3 of them with people and they buy it, then there's a free Healy device in it for you. And that was all I was concerned about. I wanted that free device, and that's what we went after. And after we shared it with 6 people and found that all 6 were interested, and then all 6 of them bought, after we did a free personal scan for them, I was like, I can't believe that happened. I've never had 100% success rate in offering anything, but this little thing works. So a few weeks later, I get a text message from Healy saying you've got several $1,000s in your account. I wasn't really expecting that. All I wanted was my free device, but it was that type of thing that made me sit up and pay attention to realize that there might be an opportunity with this. And we just started sharing it on a daily basis at that point. And in 10 months' time, it became a full-time income for me. It became a full-time income immediately for my daughter, Riley. And a lot of you know her. Amazing, amazing girl. So we work together, sharing the Healy with people and changing lives. And that's really what motivates me, is to see all the lives that are being changed because of chronic illnesses that they've had before that uh, you know cause pain, and watching some of that pain diminish, because it is cleared here in the US for chronic and acute pain, arthritis and muscle soreness. That's an illegal statement. So I've shared a bunch of stuff here. There's more to share, and I am pleased to say that Miss Catherine Webster is on this call with us, and she is a amazing woman. She is a herbalist and nutrition coach, and I'm glad to say that she and I are getting to work fairly close together, working in the African American and Latino communities to make a difference there as well. And we're looking for leaders in those areas to share this with and do free personal frequency scans. So, Catherine, thank you for being here with us. Would you just share a little bit of your story with us?
Well, absolutely. I thank you guys for even allowing me to share anything with this eclectic group of people that we have tonight. I totally appreciate you reaching out to me and asking me, and I'm very happy that I was available. You guys all know how our schedules are. I was actually on the phone with a young lady today for 4 hours, using this on her, speaking her, talking her through it, letting her know, and she's all the way in New Jersey. So I just want you guys to know this really works. While we were talking though, it's amazing how you can see it work while you're in the midst of a conversation. How the conversation can start one way and end another way. And she specifically said, I feel different. Something's happened. You've been running a Healy on me. And I said, absolutely. That's why I called you. That's exactly what I'm doing. So all I'm saying is that you guys really does work. Okay. So my personal testimony on it is I have been I've been with Healy for about since March. And I did the fast track program that Ray was speaking of. And it was amazing. I really sold about 5 of them, if I'm not mistaken, very quickly, and was able to get my free one and all of that. And it was amazing. And so what I started doing was going out and just healing people, just to see how they felt, getting that free scan on into people and teaching them about this, especially in my community, because we don't know about this. And so it's important for me to get it out there so that they can experience it themselves. Just yesterday, I healed a young man in New York. I don't know why everything's on the East Coast for me right now, but that's okay, because who knows is going to break open. But yeah, I healed him. And what he was telling me was that everything that I was telling him resonated with him, and that he knew everything I was telling him. And the one thing that he declared to me yesterday was he's going to quit drinking. And I thought, interesting. So he already knew he had it too. The Healy was telling him he had to. And he just said, I'm just going to quit. I'm going to quit drinking. I'm like, okay, that works for me. We're going to get back in a week and let's see what all happens. Because I have people journal their experience with this. I have them journal it down, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to speak to them about it. David is exactly right. There are physical things that happen in our body that is an emotional attachment to those ailments. And so if we can free up that emotional attachment to the ailment that is happening within the body, then we're going to be able to have a balance in the body, which will alleviate and eliminate a lot of what goes on with us. And so we have to figure out a way to have all that synergy work into the body. And I believe that the Healy is that reason. I believe that that's that tool that we have, that we can have these emotional attachments to these to these physical ailments dissipate, disappear, and have our balance back, have our balance back into our lives. And I believe the frequencies do that. I've seen it happen too many times for it not to be. Yes, it's quantum physics. Yes, it seems like rocket scientists that we're talking about, that we're doing, but no, it's, if I can do it, anybody can, in all honesty. I love the fact that we can put frequencies in here that can be like, say for instance, you wanted to put in a supplement. I love that you can program the supplement into the Healy and then have those frequencies bounce to you and be healed in that. I love that. It seems like these things are limitless, in all honesty. It's helped me with my pain. I had a very chronic knee pain for 2.5 years, and my knee does not hurt nearly as bad as it did. I was like, Ray, I'm a type 2 diabetic. And so after I would eat every time, I would run it on my spleen and on my pancreas. And so that helped with my numbers all the time. And because I go to the doctor to get my blood checked on a regular basis, and I know that this thing has helped with that. So yeah, we're just trying to educate people out here, you guys, and let it know that it actually does happen, that that it actually does work. And I'm excited about the future with all of us regarding this, and especially getting it in the communities that are like, just don't have a clue. I know that we have said in our meetings that we want to raise the vibration of the world. In order to do that, we have to have every community in that vibration, or the chain will be broken. It has to be connected. And so that's what I'm so excited to be a part of, is the African American community, the Hispanic community, the Korean community, all of them, all of us, to be able to experience this wonderful technology that we have.
Hey, thanks, Kathy.
You're
You
welcome.
you were the first person I've ever heard that used the word Healy as a verb. You say, I Healy'd him. I love that. I'd never heard of that before. That was great. All right. So what Kathy was just referring to there partly is that Marcus Schmika, the inventor, and his business partner, a guy named Christian Halper, part of their stated goal is that we really would impact the world by one goal I've heard them say is 100 million families would be owning and using a Healy, maybe in the next 10 years, right? Imagine that, 100 million families all impacting themselves with frequencies. Because in the past, you've had to go to a practitioner, pay $150 for one session, where you have to hold on to those rods and stuff. Now the Healy is small and compact and unbelievably affordable, actually, when you hear what it can do and what it costs in just a minute. And you can run frequency programs all day long on yourself, as I'm going to show you in just a second, and on your family. So it's very affordable when you compare that to going to a practitioner and doing these kind of treatments maybe once a month, because that's all you can afford, right? So this is great. So I'm going to go into now a little demonstration of how it all works. So this is the device itself. It's only about 2 inches by 2 inches square. Typically, we will have it clipped to our shirt or in our pocket or something, so it's within your bioenergetic field, because the Healy has a quantum sensor in here that is comparing the frequency information that's in that field, because the quantum physicists actually call that EMF field an information field, because we can read the frequencies in there, to read the information. So it compares your field with the frequencies in the program that you've set up to run, and sees which ones are most needed by you to get everything back in balance as good as you possibly can. So one way we can run frequencies is like this. I've got these wires going out of it, and then they're running to these electrodes on my wrists. So that's called doing microcurrent, where it's going to actually send an electrical current, very, very, very mild, through your body, through the cells and the water in your body. And then that's one type of frequency. This another type, we can actually take these wires out, and we have this, and it's actually a Tesla coil. It's actually 2 Tesla coils. If you can see the coil there, and there's a second one below, and it creates parallel Tesla coils, which creates something in quantum physics. They call it a 0-point field. And the type of frequency is delivered through what's called scalar waves. So if you want to look up all the physics, if you're really a science geek, you can do that. But these little prongs here plug in right where the wires would go. And now we have a wireless Healy. So this is really cool, because they did not have this coil when I first learned about Healy in May of 2020. It was like almost a year later that they invented the coil. So, and Healy would tell you should only run maybe 3 or 4 programs at the most with the wires, and you should put a 2 or 3 hours of rest in between sessions. So you could really only do 3 or 4 programs a day, and you have to put these big gaps in between. But now with the coil, this is more subtle. The wires goes through the cells in your body. This is really more about impacting that energetic field, the information field or bioenergetic field, and with scalar waves. And you can do those back to back to back all day long. Now, it is recommended you still do some, even though this is a lot more convenient, obviously, you still should do some with the wires, because that is the most intense, and that microcurrent has been proven to be one of the most effective things for pain, for instance, if you have pain issues. But it's really cool that I can maybe run a breakfast, lunch, and dinner around that time, do something with the wires. And then in between all day long, or like today when we were driving in our car for 10 hours, I could run these all day long if I want, just keep running programs and do all sorts of things to impact. There's a third way of doing frequencies, which I'll show you in just a second. But I'm going to go, first of all, plug the wires back in here and give you an example of how you would run a program. So I'll just put this onto my shirt, and I'm going to share my phone screen, because we control the Healy from a smartphone or a tablet, and it can be iOS or Android. Okay. So as long as you have an Apple or an Android smartphone or tablet, you can use your Healy. Now, this is showing the main Healy app right here, and you can see there's all these different categories of programs. So let's just go right into the first one. Gold Cycle. These are 7 different programs that were created by one of these time waver therapists that are very famous and loved by the Healy community, because they're just kind of an overall generalized frequencies that really impact you in many different ways. Pure is about detoxing the body. Release is about pain in the body, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, and so on. And I'll just go through a lot of these really quick. Pain and stimulation. These are those 2 FDA cleared pain programs right here. And then we have all these other ones. We have to use Roman numerals because the FDA doesn't like us to make it look like we can do, fix other things. But this is obviously tooth and jaw pain, joint pain, migraine pain. This is actually insomnia, anxiety, and depression. And here we've got learning programs. We've seen some amazing results with kids that have ADHD and such to help them concentrate and sit still. Fitness programs. I love running either performance, strength, or stamina while I'm working out or running or walking or cycling or whatever I might do. But I always run this regeneration one after the workout to help with the muscle soreness, right? Job and sleep programs. We get many, many, many testimonials about sleep. It's pretty cool. Mental balance programs. The person that told me about this, she's a holistic doctor, but her focus is the brain. And she says it's amazing the results she's getting for people, whether it's someone that's had traumatic brain injury or they've got some kind of brain trauma or autism, or what is the other? Oh, like PTSD. It's just, she's just had amazing results that help things progress so much quicker in their recovery and help. Beauty and skin programs, even things like hair and nails and aging, scars. You can actually help decrease scarring. It's really cool. Bioenergetic harmony. As I'll show you in a minute how we do these scans, the one that came up for me the most was nerves. And I had at that time a numbness in this right hand and especially this pointer finger. And it was some type of carried over from a pinched nerve I had in the shoulder blade area at one point, but it was ongoing. I thought it might be permanent. And it was amazing that the Healy would see that, right? It was telling me this is the program you need to run the most, and I would. And the second most common program that would come up for me was on this next page called sciatica local. I had shooting pain down my left leg. You know, I'd have a pretty big flare up once or twice a week, do all these weird stretches to try to relieve that pain, but the Healy could sense that. And I would run whenever it told me to run this, I would run it whether I was having a flare up or not, because the Healy could sense that imbalance in my field. And I would just run that. And guess what? 2.5 years now, I've only had 1 or 2 flare ups, and neither of them have been very serious at all. One of them was when I was moving and we were lifting a lot of stuff. And so it kind of made sense that it might flare up there. And you can see thyroid gland, head, prostate, lungs, toxins. There's so many programs. Meridians, if you're familiar with acupuncture and those energy pathways in the body, we have 2 pages of all the different meridians. We have the chakras, which are those 7 energy centers in the body. We have bioenergetic defense. This is great if you're sensitive to things like 5G, 4G, radio signals, all the electrosensitivity things. Bioenergetic support. This is an immune system booster that was released during COVID. This is coherence, is one of the most popular programs there is because it just kind of helps balance everything in the system. These are some of my favorites. Bioenergetic vitalization, they help us stay young. And these are frequencies from things like stem cells and human growth hormone. You can see youth and epigenetic harmonization and the pineal gland. It's really, really cool programs. Deep Cycle is developed by one of these time waiver therapists. These have become very famous. He's out of Norway, where this is all about really doing a deep energetic detox of your system. Well-being. Oh, and I love these as well. These are like having a supplement for the brain, the hair, the skin, the heart, so on. There's 6 pages of them. And these are as if you had that supplement and they've recorded all the frequency information of the vitamins, nutrients, amino acids, proteins, whatever is part of that supplement. And you are getting that energetically sent into your system. That's why it's called digital nutrition. And lastly, I just want to show Power 3, Natural Cycle. There's also so many things here, but here at the end, expert programs. You can actually work with a time waiver therapist. You can see on this Healy here, I don't have any of these expert programs, but you can work with a time waiver therapist. One of the people that have one of those $40,000 machines, they can make you a custom program. Or if you have a specific disease or an issue and you can kind of consult with them, they can help either develop, or they'll have some pre-made programs that you can buy for, I don't know, I've heard $40 or $50 typically. And then they download it to your Healy, and then you own that program forever, and you can run it over and over and over all you want. So that's really cool. Let me show you how you actually would run a program. I'll just go back and do one of these. Let's do this one for the skin. Just click on that. Shows, oh, this is a long one, 87 minutes. Most of them are 40 to 60 minutes. Typically, this is a really long one. But it says to use the electrodes on the wrist, like I'm using here, or it says right here, you can use the coil. So I could do either way. And I would hit start, and it sends the frequencies over to my Healy. So right now it's transmitting them by Bluetooth. There's a Bluetooth light flashing on here. And once those frequencies, that set, which could be dozens or even hundreds of frequencies, once that set is in here, it's going to start applying them to me. And every 10 seconds, this hertz will change. So right now it's doing 969.4 hertz. And it's selecting this based on it reading my field. Now it's 234.7 hertz. So the quantum sensor in here is reading my field, saying, of these dozens or hundreds of frequencies, which ones are the ones that David needs the most right now? Which ones are most out of balance or needing energy? And so it's sending that to me. Now, this red dot is going to go around this circle for about 87 minutes. The white line that's behind the red dot means that I've got good conductivity right now, which, you know, it's kind of unusual that 15% that you would have a white line rather than black, but I stay very well hydrated. That can be helpful. If you have very dry skin, you might see this line going black, but you can always up the intensity. As I do this, when I get up to about 40%, 45%, I start to feel a little tingling in my hands because of the energy that's flowing through these electrodes. And look at what happens if I unplug one. That line will go black, showing that I've interrupted the circuit. I'm not getting the frequencies are not flowing through my body now. So this shows you that it is using my body as part of that circuit. It's going between these two electrodes, between the wrists, through the water and cells in my body. So that is how running an actual program with microcurrent, or you can do the same with the coil. Typically with the coil, we just bump this up to 100%, because of the intensity. So you're doing that wirelessly. But that's it. I'm going to leave that, swipe out of there, and I want to show you a couple other things we can do in the Healy. Here's the Heal Advisor app. There's several modules in here. There's one just for those digital nutrition programs where you can even make grocery lists of different foods that will also help with the same thing. But this Heal Advisor search is what I want to show you right now. We can go in here and let's say you're like Ray or Kathy and you have diabetes or had issues with diabetes. You can type that in. Oops, I gotta spell it right. Type diabetes in there, and it gives lots of options that could be related to that too. But if I just click on diabetes, it now shows me which programs would be the most helpful in helping my body deal with diabetes. It's not saying you're not going to see a program in here called diabetes, right? We're a consumer device. The FDA would not like that. But these programs, if you can help your spleen and pancreas work better and help your liver work better and deal with things in your tissue with an additional nutrition mixture and hormones and circulatory system, you can see there's a whole bunch here. There's probably 15 or so different programs that all could help. And so you could just focus on those if you want. If that's your issue right now, you focus on that for a week or two and just see how that results. What I like to do, being generally in good health, is go right here to the Heal Advisor Analyze app. And a lot of people do it this way. This is where you can scan and see what's most important for you. Like I mentioned before, that NERS program was the most important one for me, and then sciatica local. Those two don't really come up for me anymore because that's in balance and I don't have those issues really right now. But you can see we have resonance analysis. We have something called coaching analysis. If you're like a life coach, this is amazing. Aura analysis is specifically dealing more with the chakras. If you're familiar with that in energy type work, that might interest you as well. We're just going to focus though on the resonance analysis for time here. I'm going to use myself as the client. Choose that. It has to scan and find the Healy right now. Let me make sure which one I'm using because I have more than one in my house and it may bring up more than one serial number here. I want to select, yes, I want to select this one. And then as it connects, you'll see it'll say the focus is with what do I have the greatest resonance now? And what that means, it's going to scan against these different databases I'll show you in a second, all the frequencies in there, scanning my bioenergetic field to see which ones I need the most, which one has the most frequencies in there that I need the most, okay? So I'm gonna go over here and you'll see that starting about here, these are all those different program sets that I showed you in my Healy, from beauty, bioenergetic vitalization, digital nutrition, meridian, skin, tons and tons of things. So the way I would typically scan that, I could just pick one and say, let's see what's the most important digital nutrition program right now, because there's 72 of them. If I wanted to focus on that, but what I like to do is hit this all Healy programs right here. And this will tell me which of those categories is most resonant with my body right now, meaning the most work, meaning is what that means. And you'll see it says sleep programs for me right now is the most important at a 70% resonance. That's pretty high. Most things are between 40 and 60%. And when you see something up in the 70, there's something out of balance there for me for sleep right now. So I guarantee I'm going to run this a program out of here. Then the Healy Watch, these are Meridian programs, but tied to a different thing that we have called a Healy Watch. It kind of like a Fitbit watch, but it does a lot more, and then it'll scan for heart rate variability and different things. And then fitness programs, well-being, Power 3. So let's just give you a couple examples. I know that sleep is important. There's only 4 sleep programs though, but I would just choose myself again, go to the sleep category, Healy Sleep. You can see here it says there's only 4 programs. When you do these scans, it brings up the top 5 programs. Well, there's only 4, so it's going to bring up 4, but it'll give me the order of importance. So one called Sleep Systemic is most important for me. So what I would typically do is I go over to the other app and put on these electrodes or use the coil and run that. Or maybe I'd run this one with the electrodes, and then immediately after I want to give my body a rest with the electrodes, so I'd run maybe this one and this one with the coil. Or what else? Fitness was important for me. So I can go in here and choose fitness because I know that's very resonant with me right now. There's 8 programs here. So it's going to bring up the top 5 that are most resonant. So weight, which could be either you're overweight or you're too skinny, or it's just some kind of imbalance there on helping you maintain proper weight. Deep relaxation, regeneration, strength, and stamina. So again, I might go over and run the weight program at some point today, and then this one too, and this one. And, I usually take the top 3 or so from each of these scans and say I'm going to focus on that set for the day. The third way we can do frequencies, I told you there are 3. One was with the wires, one was with the Tesla coil. The third is what we call vibrational frequencies in the quantum field, or sometimes called radionics. And that's where we take this scan result, all 5 of these programs actually, and hit actions, vibrate, choose a time period. The default's 1 minute and 20 seconds, but you can see it can be very long and short time periods. I'm going to go down to 37 seconds just for time here, hit start. And what it's doing now is it's sending me frequencies from all 5 of these sets. So it's a lot of different choices. But what it's doing, the blue wavy line means it's scanning my field, and the reddish wavy line means it's sending information into my bioenergetic field through the quantum field. And so it's balancing in that it's checking my field, seeing what I need, and applying. So this is different than most technologies. If you've heard of things like a Rife machine and so on, most of the time that's not a bioresonance device where it can scan your field. You just select a frequency, hit start, you play it, you just hope you got the right one. The Healy's nice because we can scan to see what's most out of balance now. So this is really, really cool. And this is something, I even hesitate to say this because when I first heard this, I was like, that sounds too crazy. Don't believe it. This is something you can do remotely with someone. So like when Kathy was saying I was Healying this person in New York, she was doing it from Kansas City to New York, and it's in the quantum field. Now, to me, that sounded crazy at first. And those of you that are already into energy medicine, this is doable, right? That a remote type session. But the way I understand it, it's through what's called quantum entanglement, if you want to look up the physics behind it, where there's a connection between things. We actually place someone in as a client. You saw I was choosing my name, which includes a picture and your birth date and different things to help you dial into that person, kind of like dialing into a radio station. So this is cool because I was very, very dead set against sharing this kind of option of doing remote stuff because I just didn't believe it could be possible. Then I started trying it and people were having results. It's like, I don't get it. But you know what? I believe God must have made our bodies to work this way and that we have this connection in the quantum field, just like the quantum physicists are finding. And it really does work. So anyway, that's the third way of doing frequencies. Lastly, I just want to show you that there's other databases here we can only do by the vibrational, meaning there's not corresponding programs in the other app, like Alaskan gem elixirs. If you're familiar with holistic medicine, that you might recognize some of these. Australian bush flowers is another set of 68 programs. Bach flower remedies are very popular. Homeopathics, you probably are familiar with. These are specifically about emotions of the psyche. 347 different blends of homeopathics where you've got the frequency information. You can do a scan in there and see which ones you need the most, and then vibrationally, like I just showed you, send those into your field. And there's more down here at the bottom. There's I Ching, which is Chinese medicine, Schussler salts, vital substances. There's all sorts of stuff. And then we have this new device called a Mag Healy. Maybe I'll have Ray show. Ray, if you have that nearby, I know I've got one around here. It's what we just got here, so I'm not sure where it is right now. Yeah, he's holding it up, but we'll have him tell you about that in a second. So that's how the device works. Now lastly, I do want to stop sharing this, and I want to share how you actually would use, or how you would get a Healy. What do they cost? What do they, that kind of thing. So here you go. You should be seeing my screen now. Hit play on this presentation. So there are 5 different editions of the Healy at 5 different price points. So we have some lower cost ones and some much more expensive ones. The hardware is exactly the same. This Healy device, you get just one Healy device. If you need to start at a lower priced one edition, you can. And if you later upgrade to a higher one, you don't have to get a whole new Healy. You're just opening up more software, more programs you have access to, more app modules that you can use, and so on. So when you purchase the Healy, you do get the device and the connection cables. You get all the stuff you need to use them. but they also give you 2 weeks to try it. So, and it's from the date you receive it. So the day it comes in the mail, you have a full 2 weeks. You can play with it, use it, see if it works or not, which it will. And if you do decide to return it, you get all your money back. But I'll tell you, that's extremely rare that someone returns a Healy because it is such a cool, awesome piece of technology and really does work. All right, so these are examples of all the different program groups, the different app modules. I showed you that search module here. We played with the resonance module. We saw that bioenergetic vitalization and digital nutrition program groups also have an app module to where you can do searching within them. And like I said, even create a grocery list from the digital nutrition one. So there, some of these, if you see these numbers in parentheses, that refers to how many microcurrent programs are affiliated with that app module or the actual program groups over on this side. So depending on your Healy edition, you'll have some or even most of these. And you would, when you purchase that edition, you own those programs and app modules for life. And there's no monthly fees, there's no yearly fees, there's no subscriptions. However, if your edition doesn't have something that you really want, let's say you really want these beauty programs and they're not included in your edition, you can either at some point upgrade to a higher edition that includes that, or you can just subscribe to the beauty program group, and then that would be a monthly subscription. But most people just buy as big of a edition as they can afford, and they have plenty of programs to use. So for instance, the lowest priced edition is called Healy Gold, which is about $500, but this is a very entry level. It just has 11 microcurrent programs in the gold cycle, bioenergetic support, and the 2 FDA cleared pain programs. And it does have that search module where you can search for an issue, and then it would tell you which of these programs would be best to run if you have diabetes or whatever, for instance. So that's like the lowest cost entry level one. If you go to the highest cost, the other extreme, the professional is normally about $4,000, but there's actually a really cool promotion going on where it's 45% off right now. I'm just telling you that up front so you don't freak out if you think $4,000 is a lot of money. This is actually not very much money. When people that are familiar with these kind of technologies and they understand that it's a bioresonance where it can read your field, it can do microcurrent, it can do a scalar waves and a Tesla coil, and it can do radionics and remote sessions. They think this thing's going to cost $10,000, $20,000. They're thinking 5 figures. So even this is a great, great, great deal for all the things you can do. But we can get it to you for 45% off right now. So these are the different editions. Let's just skip to the one where it shows it with the 45% off prices. So you can see if someone starts with gold, they'll just have those 11 programs and the search module. The ones in bold are modules that have a little more functionality than just a program group. Holistic, when you go up to there, which is almost the same price as the gold, so there's really no reason to buy the gold. If you buy holistic, you have 63 programs. You've added these additional program groups here from bioenergetic harmony 1 and 2 and mental balance, and the 2 sets of meridian programs. Once you go to resonance, now you have 98 programs. You've added these other program groups: chakras, fitness, the rest of the pain programs, sleep, the power of 3, and most importantly, this is where you can start doing the resonance scans to see which programs are most resonant with you, or even do those remote type quantum field programs. So resonance, normally $1,500 is about $833 at the 45% off. If you go to Resonance Plus, now you've added more programs. You're up to 124 different microcurrent programs, and now 4 app modules because we've added the R analysis and the coaching module. And then if you go to the professional, now you've added bioenergetic defense, job, and beauty. But these 2 really important ones, I use these quite a bit. If not every day, every other day, I'm doing at least something from these ones, but digital nutrition and bioenergetic vitalization, which are those ones that keep us young. So, even this one at 45% off ends up being about $2,200. And then I usually recommend someone should get the coil. It is an accessory. It's an add-on because it was invented later than the Healy. It's about $225. And this is really, really worth it because it lets you do so much more work with the Healy. And even like with animals, imagine being able to do scans on your pets and then just use the coil. And, if the pet is, cuddled up in your lap or whatever, however you want to do that, and you just clip the Healy to their collar or just set it next to them and let it run with the coil. And those animals, they really can sense that. They can tell when you turn it on. They can tell when the program ends. They're very, very aware of that in the subconscious more than we are. Lastly, if you want, you can become what's called a Healy World member. Now, many of you may be looking at this just as an incredible piece of technology that you'd want to own in your family and actually have a bioresonance frequency device that you and your whole family can use. That's great. We love having lots of customers. But if you choose, you can be like me and Ray and Kathy and build a business around the Healy and earn commissions for referring others to Healy and earn a free Healy Resonance Plus edition, or actually any of the first 4 editions, depending on what you do in your fast start period. You can earn another free device. So many people buy Healy and then they want to at least earn that free one, right? Why not earn a free one so they can have 2 in their family? And that might be all you want to do, and that's fine. But if you really want to go for it, like Ray said, we went from 7 million in revenue to 100 million in revenue. That's a growing company. So when I saw this, I'm like, okay, this is going to let my wife and I accomplish a goal that we've had. Our kids had all graduated from college, gotten married, and moved away from where we were living in Virginia. And we're stuck in Virginia with jobs at a university. And so we had wanted this idea of selling the house, buying a big RV, and traveling so we could go see the kids, see the now grandkids that we're having, and work a business that we could do from our laptop. So that's exactly what we're doing. This is my little office in my RV, and we are parked somewhere in Montana on our way to Kalispell. I know we're going north in the winter and it's supposed to be snowing while we're driving tomorrow, but our son and his wife are having a baby in about a week, and we get to be in the area when the baby is born while I'm building a business from my laptop from anywhere I want to be in the country. So it's a great opportunity to share Healy, whether you do it with people in person, like Ray loves to do, or online, like I like to do, or a combination of that. It is really, really great business. So if that interests you, please let us know. We do lots of training. We do lots of support. We teach you how to be effective and do this business, whether it's in live trainings we do once a quarter, online trainings we do every week, and lots of recorded information, of course, and training that you can have access to. So with that, I'm going to just ask Ray or Kathy, were there any questions that were brought up that we should address for the recording that would be good to share? Or are we pretty good in that area?
I thought I saw a question come up on the
I see a hand raised that I don't, Nancy, are you able to just click on the chat and type in your question?
Yeah, it actually reads, will any
do?
of the sleep programs help with sleep apnea?
You
So
know what? Let's you know, when someone asks that question, we have to be a little careful, of course, because the FDA doesn't want to make us let people think we could actually cure anything or help anything. So what I do, I show 2 things. I'm going to share first my phone screen, and oops, cancel that. I want to do it right here. Share. Okay, so now you see my phone here in the Heal. This is what I would do. I would go to the Heal Advisor, and just like we did before, we typed in diabetes. We'll type in sleep or sleep apnea, and let's see what comes up. Okay, so sleep apnea. There it is, right down here, right? So I'm going to click on that, and so this is what time waiver therapists, actual practitioners of energy medicine, have said that all of these programs are ones that would be helpful to support your body in dealing with sleep apnea. Is it going to cure you so you never have to use that machine thing that I don't know much about it, but I don't know. And I mean, we have amazing testimonials about that all sorts of things. So the other thing I'll show you when people ask this kind of question, I share our computer. I'll just share my computer screen again. I'll go right to the internet, and there is a great, let's see if I can find it here. It's a great, there, the Frequency Experience. It's a Facebook group. So if you're on Facebook, just do a search up here, search and type in the Frequency Experience. See, there's over 75,000 members of this. These are worldwide. Many of them are people like me that already own a Healy, and many of them are people that are just checking out the Healy, like maybe you are. You can go and join this group, and you can read through all these posts of testimonials and you know, experiences that people have had with the Healy. Or what I love is you can go right here, and we can type in sleep apnea and search for that. And guess what? We're going to see any chronic sleep issues. Oh, this is a person, but So here, the sleep. Does anyone have experience treating sleep apnea? And there's 22 comments. So you can go and read all the comments and what people have said about using the Healy if they've had sleep apnea. But you can go through this, obviously several different posts that either have the post or a comment in the post would refer to sleep apnea, and you can read through all of those testimonials. So that's a really cool way, because you're allowed to tell your own testimonial. You just have to be careful with the Federal Trade Commission, such that you're not sharing other people's testimonials. And so this is one way that we can do that legally and ethically, and let people share their own testimonials, and you can read about those on there. All right, so with that, I think we're about done. Is there any, oh, Ray, did you want to show again that mag Healy? Just if you could hold that up, and why don't you just kind of explain how it uses a magnetic field and so on?
Yeah, the Mag Healy is a really brand new product that we're enjoying using. So it has the ability to be placed on certain parts of your body to get specific areas. It has programs in there for the atmosphere where you can put it in close proximity to a group of people and vibrate magnetic frequencies to them. You know, if you're having a meeting, or if you need energy, or if gosh, you name it, there's a program in there for it. I personally love that energy program, or the concentration program. When I'm working, I can just set it on the desk next to me. They also have frequencies for water, so you can literally vibrate frequencies into your glass of water and have your own energy drink, or your own coherence drink, or there's numerous programs for the water, too many for me to name off right now. And then there's McMakin programs, and Dr. Carolyn McMakin is world known for her frequency specific microcurrent programs. And so she's partnered up with Healy and put 24 of her programs in this device. And now she's one that is, her trainings are actually certified for continuing ed for practitioners. And she helps people learn more about microcurrent frequency and how to deliver it. She's very highly sought after in the professional sports industry because of what she has done in the past with some major football players that I'm probably not at liberty to say all the football players that she's worked with, but just amazing results. So we're thankful that she's involved with this too, and Healy's partnered with her to put her technology in this device to be used with magnetic delivery. So exciting stuff. You know, at this point in the presentation that we've been doing, most people would expect that now it's time to close the sale and get all the hype going and everything else. But I appreciate the fact that we just don't have to do that. And we share Healy from our heart, and we do free personal frequency scans for people just to help you understand what this cool little device can do. Regardless if you buy one or not, you're going to know somebody that we can help. And that's all we appeal to. You're going to love this device and being able to use it in your family. And you're probably going to end up like what we were, and we were basically fighting over who got to use the Healy next. So lots of opportunity for that, but I just appreciate the fact that nobody pressured me into this. I just wanted to get resolved in certain issues. So when you say the same thing, you guys, Catherine and David?
Yes, absolutely. And Kathy, is there anything you wanted to bring up that you thought of that you'd like to share in closing here?
Real quickly, my knee injury, my knee went out one day. I went to my chiropractor. He was going to sell me a sonogram to take home to help my knee. The very same day, my business partner called and told me about the Healy. And I decided, when he told me how much the sonogram would be, I said, okay. Then she called me, and then we went directly to a friend of mine's house, helped her with a shoulder injury with the Healy, and then they put it on my knee. And I have not had that type of issue again with that knee. It was crazy how wonderful, and how the timing, you guys, timing is everything. So, just letting you know, it was the perfect timing for me, and I pray that it's the perfect timing for you when you're ready. And yeah, I just think that it's amazing.
Yeah, those prices that we talked about with 45% off is through the end of November. However, there's an extra little promotion going on between now and November 20th, where if you buy one of the top 2 editions, the Resonance Plus or the Professional, they give you a free gold edition as well. So you'd have the lowest one along with the one you purchased. So you have 2 devices. What would you do with that gold one? Well, you have a second one in your family if you want to run the gold cycle programs and so on. Or you could always upgrade it later to a higher edition, or you could give it away. You could sell it. You can do whatever you want with it. Okay. So that's really cool that you can get 2 devices right now if you want. And then we do have we always have promotions on the side of the business. If you are interested in this business concept, we'd really love to talk to you, because there are ways, even this month, you can earn a free mag Healy, the one that Ray was showing you. And that's worth about $3,000. It's not a cheap device because it's a magnetic field. This is like cutting edge technology, $3,000, and you can earn one for free this month, even if you're brand new. In fact, it's probably easier when you're brand new because you have a lot of contacts that would be interested in a Healy, and you could earn one of those mag Healys for free in addition to another free Healy device in your fast start period. So anyway, get back with the person that told you about this. We did record this. If you want to be able to share the recording, the person that told you about this will have access to that recording as well. And like Ray said, we're happy to do a free personal frequency scan in person, or even remotely by Zoom, like we were talking about. Just again, talk to the person that told you about this and get back with them, and we'll get you going with Healy. And you're going to absolutely love having a Healy device for yourself and your whole family. All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you next week. We're here every Monday night.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.